Welcome to Tea Time today. I'm Chaiti Narula and Customer Communication Management happens to be the focus of our show today. Joining me is the Managing Director of Pitney.
On the show this week, we have Manish Choudhary, MD, Pitney, India.
How data is created, everyone sitting here is essentially having a location right now which you can do business and you can make a lot of decisions around.
In news, STENSON wins Tour Championship and Juice Van Luton wins KLM Open.
So somebody does enjoy the flight of a good drive. Welcome to the show, Manish.
Thank you.
Such pleasure to have you on the show today. The future of the global technological industry. You've got e-commerce, you've got enterprise mobility, you've got cloud computing, big data analytics. Are these the future? Location intelligence as well. These seem to be the future, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think you hit most of the things which are we consider as futuristic, where there's a lot of growth. That's where the markets are moving globally. Location intelligence, for example, you see maps, you see, how data is created. Everyone sitting here is essentially having a location right now which you can do business and you can make a lot of decisions around. Do you go on Facebook?
I do.
Have you tried to check in?
Yes, I have, and I know that service is being provided by
Pitney
as well.
That's something which I tell people every time. I talk to my cousins, I talk to my friends, and every time they're checking in, I'm here.
In fact, I just checked into JP Green's golf course.
Perfect.
So we're standing.
So you created an event, and that's where you see Pitney Bowes geocoding is being used in order to find where you are and what's around you. We create data and geocoding, which is more than 200 countries. So it's amazing.
I think we'd say social media taking off, it's gaining much more relevance as well.
So I think the social media with mobile, with cloud computing, with analytics, I think that's defining the space. That's absolutely defining the space.
We're going to discuss that in a little more detail on the fairway. Before that, let me start my game so that we can start competing with each other.
Absolutely.
So Manish, let's talk about big data. You mentioned that it's a big wave that we're anyway riding on. Also with social networking gaining so much of a relevance in this country, the kind of quality and quantity of big data generated becomes very imperative to companies. How is that making its way?
I just saw you tweeting something about being at
JP Green's.
JP Green's.
Yes, and shooting with you.
Yeah, and then you checked in.
I did check in on Facebook.
Now think about it. Let me give you an example of big data in the context of location.
Right.
So,
location intelligence.
Location intelligence or just location itself. There is more people checking in. There's more people who are talking about their information. There's more devices right now which are connected to internet than the history of internet for that matter. I see cities in the US using location on parking meters so they can manage traffic better at peak hours. In City of London, you are tracked by, I don't know, how many different cameras at one point of time. Now that's data which is generated.
Singapore as well.
Singapore as well. Whether you're traveling, whether you are on road, whether you are on mobile devices, whether you're tweeting, whether you're on Facebook, it's amount of data which is getting there. So in some ways, I think you can say there's more data which we have to deal with than we ever had. Now the question is, what do you do with it? And what can businesses and our customers make sense out of it? Think about it, how do you monetize number of likes you have on Facebook?
Yeah.
If you're a business and you had, 100,000 followers, how do you translate that to potential conversion rate of your customer and the leads. That's where a lot of interesting technology and the development in technologies and the startups and things which companies like Pitney Bowes, we guys have been doing. There are serious examples about how they're using for roads and networks and public sector and
a lot of traffic
Facebook.
jams and congestions can be also
Absolutely
being managed much better. I think urban metropolitan needs something like this.
Yeah,
In fact,
absolutely.
that it will give you solutions to many of our problems at the drop of a hat.
Absolutely. So, Pitney Bowes is working on it. There's a lot of other companies who are actually trying to solve the same problem. So I feel it's the most interesting time where the definition of location is not just a map.
Exactly. And with Web 2.0 gaining more prominence, I mean,
absolutely.
It is the rate.
There's new technologies, there's innovation happening in the space every day. So we clearly see there's a lot happening in this space than what has happened in the last 5-7 years.
Now, cloud computing by far, I think, has been the most disruptive technologies to have ever come into being after the internet. What's your take?
With the use and the penetration of internet, cloud computing is almost becoming a level playing field for companies to have their data on the net, the data in cloud, applications in cloud, platforms in cloud, and this has changed and got the entire business and the business use cases into a different space altogether. Some of the things which we used to do earlier, which were physical mail, we have our innovators actually pushing all your digital communications up in digital mailbox.
Correct.
We have started doing that not just with location intelligence, we started doing that with across technologies which we've heard. And with this data which is being created, and if you want to make data accessible to everyone and the computing power accessible, all hosted in cloud, I think it just changes the game absolutely. It opens up new players, new applications, new softwares, a new way of delivering value to your customers and clients, which never existed in the earlier times. So, I think at a point in time, I see, to your point, it's very disruptive. It's actually gone beyond disruptive. It's becoming a norm nowadays.
Manish, I think social media has come to a new level, like you rightly put it. I mean, it's become more than disruptive. I believe it is solving a lot of your corporate problems as well with crowdsourcing and, of course, social gaming as well. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you look at this medium as one of the channels of communications.
Right.
We traditionally, Pitney Bowes has been around for 93 years.
Right.
We are the pioneers in physical mail communication, and we see social as another channel of communications. On a broader context, I would say when you have to talk to your employees, you're connected.
Yeah.
I tweet to my employees. I'm on Facebook with people who I work with. They can reach out to me, I can reach out to them. Helps us in managing our engagement, helps us in messaging our technology better to our customers, to our clients. We see that our customers are using that. So I think internally, externally, it's something which has already changed the way organizations are thinking. There are a lot of collaborative tools which are all integrated with social platforms and social mediums. It just makes life very, very easy.
It's interesting that he pointed out that social media is making its way into the corporate world now to solve a lot of corporate problems as well. A very interesting point, Manish. On that note, it's time now for us to take a break on Tea Time. We will see you on the other side. Lovely. Thank you for staying with us in Tea Time. We're in conversation with the Managing Director of Pitney Bowes, Manish Choudhary. Pitney Bowes technology in geocoding, which is the technology behind the Facebook check-in, reaches out to 1/7 of the world's population. Now, how crucial does this information become to major business enterprises? You were saying it has a lot of relevance to business enterprises as well.
If you think about it, I think this gets into the space of marketing.
Right.
What we are finding is that more and more marketing campaigns are getting more and more personalized.
True.
When you are thinking of personalizing a campaign, so for example, if you live in Bombay, if you have a specific area and specific place and you don't want to get certain campaigns of somebody who's living in the in a different location or a different area. So you want to get a campaign which is, I play golf, I play at these areas, these are the type of things I do, these are the places I go. So tell me something which is very specific to my needs.
A lot of demographics can be...
Exactly. So one of the important elements of profiling a customer is location.
Is location, correct.
So if you get that right...
So where am I going clubbing, where am I eating, what do I play, what are my interests, which areas am I frequenting? Okay, now I get it. So a lot of market research companies will be capitalizing on information like this.
The other way to think about it, if you're spending, let's say, $100,000 on a marketing campaign, and if your conversion rate or your hit rate is 2% because you haven't really personalized the messages, versus actually personalizing the messages to the point, your conversion rate becomes 20%.
True.
So your straight increase in efficiency is 20%, and your conversion is high. Your cost of capital is better utilized, and that's the value which when you're doing campaigns, when you're targeting right customers, when you're profiling right customers. So whether it's, in our example, whether it's a retailer or a restaurant or a real estate, they all have this location element, such a useful, important thing into their business.
Also, apart from the geocoding, you also have the Solomo trend which is setting in, which is used for, of course, a lot of police departments, natural resources companies. How is that making its way into business enterprises?
Yeah, so the way I would say is the whole social cloud mobile, those are mediums for us to communicate through our technology to our customers. So, as I said, if you're thinking of the examples you mentioned about public sector, we don't see that often public sector organizations embracing the mobile things, but it's catching up. It's catching up in areas. We have examples of we've done it in Europe, where, for example, we have a product which is about asset management, roads, assets on the streets. How can you manage it better? Now think about, if you are actually in Noida, in any of the streets, you can click a photograph that this street light's not working. On a click, you're able to send something. It goes to the the right department, and things get taken care of. Now we've done some of those things, and I think it's going to be a matter of time when we start getting some of those technologies in this part. Police department have been using it to do crime analysis.
Right.
So we have implemented this technology again in US and Europe, where we can analyze crime patterns. What's the difference between 7 p.m. and 3 a.m. On a Saturday and a Sunday and a Monday on crime patterns? How do you put street lights on the road, and how does the crime patterns change?
Manish, with retail going online and of course the e-commerce space really buzzing, what are the opportunities that you see in the customer communication management space, which you're specializing in?
Sure. So retail is e-commerce. Let's actually talk about global e-commerce for a second. When you're sitting here and you want to order something from a seller in Manhattan, can you do that? At this point of time, there's customs, there's shipping rules, what can be imported, what can be exported, all sorts of things. So there's a lot of friction between the buyer and the seller.
Right.
You can't really get on a platform, say, I need this, and just give me one rate, one landing cost, and I need to know what is it going to cost. So what we have done with one of the largest retailers, we implemented a platform for eBay, a cross-border shipping platform, which is probably a world-class, fully landed cost calculation based on customs, based on the handling cost of package. Now think about it. What it does is it enables every seller. If you're selling some unique stuff and you're creating some unique stuff in San Francisco or Manhattan, now you can ship them to sellers or buyers in Australia or in Europe or in other countries. So that platform is live. eBay is using it. We see that's a significant way of opening up the buyer and seller community on e-commerce globally. We see a lot of traction happening in India. Now think about if that opens up.
Do you think e-commerce in India is really successful?
Oh, I think so. I
Because
absolutely
if you see
think.
that, if you see the trend, not too many private equity players are putting their money in e-commerce now. It's only the venture capitalists who are kind of putting their money right there in e-commerce.
Yeah, so I think.
Are you in agreement and disagreement?
Yeah, so my thesis is, I think if you look at the trends, internet penetration is increasing in India. Since I moved back from US 5 years back, the cell phone number of cell phone users, number of smartphones, number of people on internet, number of people with credit card, number of
Exponentially rising.
retailers using this. So if those trends are actually all pointing in the direction, I think it's a matter of time when there is going to be a very wide acceptance of having e-commerce to places where you can buy and sell stuff. That's one. Second, think about it. There's two different India. You know, there's the urban
And then there's
India,
the rural, which
and
is
then
a
there
different
is the tier
continent
2, tier
altogether.
3 cities. You know, I would love to see technology as a medium where it removes the discrimination between who gets access to what. And what's happening in India, I think that could be transformational. So, as an optimist, I think absolutely. It's a matter of time.
So now data confidentiality and secure evidencing is another area which we will be discussing on this show today with Manish Choudhary of Pitney. Take a quick breather on Tea Time. We will see you on the other side. Welcome back to Tea Time. Now, there are several aspects of customer communication management that come into force in the market. It's either via statements that banks sends out to their customers or mails that business sends out to their customers as well. Now, secure evidencing and data confidentiality, you have a patented technology in secure evidencing as well. How important is that gaining ground all over the world, in fact?
Sure. So, you know, this goes back to the history. You know, as you know, Pitney Bowes has been around for 90 years. We have our technology where we you know, in some ways we print stamps,
Yes.
and we print billions and billions in dollars of currency,
Right.
you know, in
the
form
form
of
of stamp.
stamps, and we do it with absolute integrity. Almost every cent is accountable. That's
Wow.
the technology we have now. The one which you mentioned about PB Secure is, you know, recently our teams had put together the technology in how do you secure documents? How can you actually take the same concept and actually start securing documents? I'll give you an example. If you had a plumber or a electrician who came to your house, and you had this big work which needed to be done, and this person comes in and he's saying, you know, here's my very expensive set of equipments and I need you
Right.
to make changes. Now this
Right.
guy looks at it and is like, you know, yeah, I'll do that. And then you ask him, are you even licensed? You know, do you know how it needs to be done? Have you had any certification for anything like that? And he says, yeah, of course. He goes, he takes a piece of paper from his pocket and he gives you, that's my license.
Right.
How cool would it be to take your phone out, you know, do a QR code or the technology we have, scan it, and suddenly you're, yeah, so-and-so is licensed, he graduated from here, he's insured. If anything happens, you will be fully secured in terms of. Now, that's the ability which we provide in order to have those documents secure, verified, encrypted, cannot be copied. And the same thing if you take it to diplomas, your mark sheets, your stock certificates, and many different applications of just securing things. You know,
Ensures a lot of integrity.
it
of
does, and
course.
it makes the users of those documents very comfortable because they can
They know.
validate it. The applications in this space is huge.
Right.
It goes to medical devices. You don't want to have your medical devices which can be tampered with. You want to have, you know, lockers which are secured, documents which are secured, sure certificates, mutual funds. Just go take the same thing on many different parameters to get to that point. So I don't know if that helps.
Of course it does. What will definitely though help is finishing our game right now, and we'll talk a little bit more in detail about your personal life and your entire escapade from Los Angeles to Singapore and whatnot.
Great, thank
Come.
you.
Now let's talk about Singapore. You're from NUS, National University of Singapore, a city very close to my heart, and of course You've spent a lot of time there, and also a part of GANO. And I believe that you all are organizing a lot of golf competitions to just network with the alumni. How is golf helping you connect back to your alumni?
Well, you know, the same way as you get to a city and you find some friends and you find a nice place and you could meet with them, talk with them. So I think one of the important thing was, since you've lived in many different places, you have friends from places from Egypt to Singapore to Indonesia to, I think that's exciting. I just love to be in touch with some of the people we've.
So there's a global network of students and alumni that you are in touch with via golf.
You can say that, yeah.
Which is the best golf course in the world? Which one do you love playing at the most?
I think the one I played in Orlando, that was definitely a few of the best golf courses.
And what about in India? Which one do you like?
I play here.
At JP Greens?
I play at the Delhi Golf Course, but not a lot of places in India, just because, one, we've been here for a short time, but primarily in Delhi.
What next for you in your career?
That's a great question. I think we have a lot going on. The India office is growing significantly, and the way we are structured, it's a global organization. So I think there's a lot of interesting things we are creating new products, new solutions, new technologies. Just keep adding value to the clients which we have. So there's a lot going on.
On that note, thank you so much, Manish, for joining me here on Tea Time.
Thank you.
With that, it's a wrap from Manish Choudhary and me, Chaiti Narula. I will see you next week again. Until then, may the sport be with you.